Yahweh parted the Red Sea for sure. And he helped them win a fictional battle with the Amalekites. Absolutely. And he was a pillar of fire. He was a pillar of cloud. There's tons of magic. But when it's like, okay, now these are the laws and these are the things that you're actually going to use to govern your society, Yahweh's going to be there, but you're not going to notice. So we're just going to have to do everything for ourselves. It's like, Hey folks, welcome to Joel Reads Bible. I'm Joel and I read Bibles so that you don't have to. And yet we're still in Deuteronomy. That's right, we're still in Dude, You're On To Me. And I think that's how you pronounce it. Sometimes it feels like we'll never get out of the book. It's like a quicksand, if you will. It's like something that's sucking us down to the center of the earth's core, where we'll burn up and die, which is ironic because we're supposed to be going the other way reading the Bible, right? We're supposed to not be going down to Sheol, as it were, which we've only had one reference to, but it is somewhere below ground. We are trying to get through this book, which is basically just Yahweh going. Have you guys noticed that I like my laws? Have you guys noticed that I like you? I want you really, really, really want you to follow the laws and ordinances. Have you guys noticed that? Do you remember my statutes? Because I really, 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 I really like them, and I would prefer if you would please follow them too. In doing so, love me. So that's basically what this book is, with Moses saying like, do you guys remember that time when God said that you like the laws? So that's basically the whole thing. And we're going to still continue reading it, much to our chagrin. But hopefully we'll get some laws that we don't know yet because we've been talking about like clean animals and other things that are familiar. But maybe we'll get some stuff that's just like, hey, I've never heard of that before. And we can all have a good puke and cry and then move on to Joshua. All right. So Deuteronomy chapter 19. Let's get into it. And before we do, I'm just going to remind you at the end of the chapter, stick around because I'm going to tell you what I loved about the chapter and what I loathed. So that's going to be really, really interesting. And that's a reason to watch the whole entire episode in its entirety to the very end of the episode until it's finished. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 19. When Yahweh your God cuts off the nations whose land Yahweh your God gives you, and you succeed them and dwell in their cities and in their houses, how rude. Do we all agree that like every time they say that, that's rude? You shall set apart 3 cities for yourselves in the middle of your land, which Yahweh your God gives you to possess. You shall prepare the way and divide the borders of your land, which Yahweh your God causes you to inherit, into 3 parts, that every manslayer may flee there. This is like the 4th instance of the whole manslayer plan. This is like the yeast, okay? How many murderers were there in the ancient Near East? Whenever I talk to Christians about thou shalt not murder, I always say, well, isn't it obvious? Like, you don't need God or the Bible to tell you thou shalt not murder. This society's like, all right, everyone's doing murders and everyone's still going to do murders. Even if God says don't murder, they're still going to do murders. Let's figure out what to do with all the murderers and the people that are wanting to avenge the murderer. Like, how are we going to work this out? Over and over and over again, like the Sabbath day, like the yeast, they go on about the town that the manslayer is going to live in. We haven't heard don't molest children yet, by the way. But that probably wasn't happening at all, so they didn't really have to worry about it. But the murder was happening constantly. This is the case of the manslayer who shall flee there and live. Whoever kills his neighbor unintentionally and didn't hate him in the past. As when a man goes into the forest with his neighbor to chop wood, and his hand swings the axe to cut down the tree, and the head slips from the handle and hits his neighbor so that he dies, he shall flee to one of these cities and live. Come on, you can't tell them how to do it. That's not smart. Like if you're living in a place where like people are constantly doing accidental murders so that they can get away with it, don't give them exact instructions on how to carry it out. What are you doing? How many people do you think were just like, oh, head of the axe slipped. Yeah, I'll go live over there. I love the guy. I'll go live in that other village, and then I'll come back, and his wife shall be mine. Thou shalt not covet. Prove it. Prove that I'm coveting. It's a stupid law if you can't prove it. Otherwise, the avenger of blood might pursue the manslayer while hot anger is in his heart, and overtake him, because the way is long, and strike him mortally, even though he was not worthy of death, because he didn't hate him in the past. I really love that. You just have to pretend you don't hate people. You have to pretend that you love everyone, that you really like everyone. If you ever end up hating someone, be extra nice to them. Which, by the way, I think like a lot of people do this. And is it a particularly Christian thing? Passive aggressiveness? Being like, I love that. Yeah, no, thank you. I would definitely like to be on the welcome committee. Yeah, for sure. I would love that. Yeah, I'll bring a casserole. Yeah, for sure. I'll do that. I would love to do that. Yeah, no, I love making brownies. That's ideal for me, you know. Head of an axe, killed. It was a complete accident. I didn't hate them. Remember the smile? I didn't hate them. Honestly. Yeah, I'll go live in another town. No big deal. And when I come back, I shall sleep with their wife. Therefore, I command you to set apart 3 cities for yourselves. If Yahweh your God enlarges your border as he has sworn to your fathers, and gives you all the land which he promised to give your fathers, and if you keep all his commandments to do it, which I command you today, to love Yahweh your God and to walk ever in his ways, then you shall add 3 cities more for yourselves in addition to these 3. This is an interesting verse, more interesting than you probably realize. And it's this special word. Now, of course, I am reading the WEB, and I could check a bunch of other translations, and I don't know much about Hebrew and how it's written, okay? I will lead in to say that. But there is an article that is happening here that is very questionable if this is indeed Yahweh saying this, which by all accounts, as we know, Yahweh is saying stuff to Moses and he's recounting it. If Yahweh your God enlarges your border as he has sworn to your fathers. If he does what he swore, there's an if there? So God can swear to enlarge the borders, but he may not do it. He gives you all the land he promised to give your fathers. He may not follow through on the promise, but Numbers 23:19, he promises and fulfills. Or does he not promise and then fulfill? So what's happening here? Why is there an if? Maybe this is just my translation, but I have a feeling that this is maybe what the verse is saying. But we'll double check that for the old recap, and we'll just like see what it's actually saying. This is so that innocent blood will not be shed in the middle of your land, which Yahweh your God gives you for an inheritance, leaving blood guilt on you. But if any man hates his neighbor, lies in wait for him, rises up against him, strikes him mortally, so that he dies and he flees into one of these cities, then the elders of his city shall send and bring him there, and deliver him into the hand of the avenger of blood, that he may die. Your eye shall not pity him, but you shall purge the innocent blood from Israel, that it may go well with you. So there's some little subtle stuff here that happens that, like, I don't know if the average bear will notice this, but I'm above average. When I was in school, I used to read that you would read something and it would take 3 minutes to read, but you had to pay attention to it and then recount or answer questions about what you read. So like I learned how to read and think. I don't know what grade I was in, but I was in pretty young grade. And so I'm actually pretty good at this because I've been trained really well by schools. So if somebody does an actual murder on purpose, they will bring him to the guy that is the avenger of blood. So whoever it is that this is hurting, the loved one, I'm assuming, of the person that the guy killed, and that person's going to kill them, which is also like crazy because I wouldn't want to do that. If something happened to me where it's like, maybe I would feel like I wanted to do it. Like if someone really hurt somebody that I loved, I would get really angry, but I don't think I could actually do it. And I don't think like if I really had the option, I don't think I'd want to. I would want it to happen and not see it. I wouldn't want to be there for it. But it says this interesting thing in verse 13, your eye shall not pity him. So it's this thing where it's like, he deserves it. Do not pity him. Do not question what you're going to do. Just destroy him. Now, we saw that same language in other places in Deuteronomy, right? We saw it in the chapters that are speaking of like going and attacking the Canaanites and taking their land. Don't pity them, right? Just take their stuff. They have their families. Remember, there's that one chapter that was like, you love your family, I'm going to give you a place for your family, but kill their families and don't pity them, just destroy their families. It's just like, man, that's heartless. What's wrong with that? Well, they're worshiping other gods. And we also have that in Deuteronomy 13 where the best friend or the wife or the family member or whomever, if they try to pull you away to worship other gods, don't pity them. Just start throwing rocks at them until they die, right? What we're learning here, believing in a different deity, maybe even not believing in this God, I don't know. It doesn't really speak to atheism because everybody believed in a God back then, maybe. That is equivalent to murder, which is just insanity. That worshiping another God is equivalent to murder. Like, it's the same reaction. We're killing them and we're not having pity on them. And we're purging the sin from amongst Israel. That's just something to note there. I don't know if it's because all sins are equal. We haven't really learned that yet. Or if worshiping a God that doesn't go around killing people because they want quail or water, somebody that's maybe nicer, is as bad and should be punished the same way as someone who deliberately murders another person. I think that's skewed. I think that's dangerously skewed. You shall not remove your neighbor's landmark, which they of old time have set, in your inheritance, which you shall inherit in the land that Yahweh your God gives you to possess. I don't know what that means, and I don't care. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin that he sins. At the mouth of 2 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, shall a matter be established. All right, so you need 2 to 3 witnesses for whatever crime or sin somebody is being tried for. So one guy can't be like, he did that, his bull gored my bull. We need more than 1 witness. Damn it. But notice really quickly here, it says against a man. Clock that as well. Against a man. Because I think we're going to see crimes that women can commit. And I don't know if they're going to have the same justice system afforded to them as far as more than 1 witness. If an unrighteous witness rises up against any man to testify against him of wrongdoing, then both the men between whom the controversy is shall stand before Yahweh, before the priests and the judges who shall be in those days, and the judges shall make diligent inquisition. And behold, if the witness is a false witness and has testified falsely against his brother, then you shall do to him as he had thought to do to his brother. So you shall remove the evil from among you. We should notice every time that the claim is that Yahweh is involved. The claim is that Yahweh is doing something, right? In this case, he's trying this. Like, he's one of the guys that's sitting there He's going to weigh in on the court case, right? We've got the priests and the judges, but it says before Yahweh, like he's there. But he's not really there, right? Like he's not really doing anything. Because if he was, we wouldn't need the priests and the judges. All we would need is the all-knowing, right? The perfect, like all-knowing, super wise, like even probably wiser than Solomon. Because Solomon was the one, and I know we haven't gotten to Solomon yet, but Solomon got his wisdom from this guy. Why would we need anyone else? Right? He's just sitting there, definitely guilty, definitely lying, The fact that he's not there is why we need priests and judges to actually do all the legwork and to, weigh in and judge and try this case. These are those types of things where like Yahweh parted the Red Sea for sure. And he helped them win a fictional battle with the Amalekites. Absolutely. And he was a pillar of fire. He was a pillar of cloud. There's tons of magic. But when it's like, okay, now these are the laws and these are the things that you're actually going to use to govern your society. Yahweh's going to be there, but you're not going to notice. So we're just going to have to do everything for ourselves. It's like, I'm beginning to think that the magical stories maybe didn't happen. I'm kind of confused. By the way, conveniently, every single person that would have witnessed that has been killed. So everyone that's in the place now, like they're all, new people. We can't ask anyone for any validation on this. I mean, not really a concern for the people that are actually learning or reading or hearing this book, that this is like hundreds of years after when it was supposed to have happened. So, but still a fun thing to say for those who believe that the narrative actually is true. Those who remain shall hear and fear and will never again commit any such evil among you. Yes, use terror. Use sweet fear and terror to control the people. Smart. Good move, guys. That's a clever dictatorship. Your eyes shall not pity. Life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. This is a reiteration of, it might be Exodus 21, it may be Exodus 22. But I think that's the first time we see the eye for the eye thing. But so it's a reiteration. And then we'll do this court case and we'll see what happened. And this might be also hyperbole to an extent where it's just like, probably not the life for life, but where it's like, okay, the equivalent of whatever the case may be. Bull for bull, ear for ear, child for child, whatever. Anyway, well, that's it. I will say that I kind of agree with there should be more than one witness. I think that's good. Finally, something good, and if somebody lies, that's perjury. They should be charged with that. This stuff is just pretty rudimentary, pretty normal. You can't always complain about it. They were onto something here in good old fashioned Bible. But what did I love about this chapter? What I loved about it were those little sweet details that you get to notice when you read the Bible. And one of my favorite one was if God does what he says he's going to do, I don't think that should be possible with an all-knowing God that it doesn't change his mind and keeps his promises. I guess the all-knowing thing doesn't matter. That shouldn't be the case. That just shouldn't exist in a sentence about Yahweh in the Bible. So what that shows is that they didn't hold the same idea of God as the modern sort of idea of this particular deity, right? The triomni thing. They didn't hold to that. That's not in their theology. And I say this all the time, that the text of the Torah wasn't written to support the theological weight of modern Christian ideas of God. So you can notice these little things that are just that just shows that they've made up a different God here, and eventually they're going to update that and upgrade the God. And what they're doing is they're going, oh, that's a problem. We need our God to be more powerful, or we need certain attributes for it to make logical sense. And so they change it, and then they have to retcon everything in the past, and then they find more problems after the whole Bible is canonized. And, we may get into that when we get to the New Testament and things like that. They change it again and change it again and change it again, and then they have to keep on fixing the old part. So these are like little subtle hints to that, but it's good to notice that. So I loved that was in there. And what did I hate? I hate that they're going off on this murder city thing, and they've never said don't molest kids. I wish that they would prioritize things that seem to matter more, dare I say, and be greater problems. Because I think if we were going to look into it, accidental deaths versus, inappropriately touching children. I hate to say that, it's heartbreaking, but I think the accidental deaths is probably the lower number. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I really, really hope I'm wrong. But either way, both should be mentioned. The one should be mentioned at least once, but I would have put it in the top 10, honestly. Anyway, that's chapter 19, and thank you for being here. Please subscribe, like the video, leave me a comment, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.